So today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your window regulator and motor in this Pontiac Grand Am. This one's a 2000 model.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan and you're watching Fixbook. After watching this video, your car problems stand about as much a chance as this laptop does against my hot leg. Now, make sure you stay tuned so you can see what happened to the laptop at the end of this video. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below.
And guys, here's the tools you're going to need for today's project. I got two Phillips head screwdrivers, one with the bigger head and one with the smaller one. I got a magnet, a flathead screwdriver, and then also a ratchet. It doesn't have to be fancy ratchet like this. And a 2-inch extension and a 10mm socket. And of course you'll want your new rear window regulator and motor. So with all that said, we'll go ahead and begin today's project. Okay guys, now the first thing we'll want to do is we're going to want to remove the fasteners so we can get everything out of our way. And we're going to do that by coming over here with the Phillips head, your smaller Phillips head, and we're going to remove this guy right here. You got a Phillips head screw sitting right down in here just past your door handle. There you go, and once you get him out, we'll just set him off to the side there. Then we can lift up on this thing and just pull this guy right off, and we'll set this guy off to the side. Now, the next thing you want to do is we're going to come up right over here with our flathead screwdriver, and we're going to pop this little switch here out, and we'll pull him off. And we'll also go ahead and disconnect this connector. You can do so by taking your flathead, pushing down on this piece right here, and kind of wiggle at the same time. And there you go. And we can set our switch off to the side. Also, down in here, you're going to have a Phillips head screw. So I'm going to take my big Phillips head screw and reach down in here. And it's going to be sitting right down in there. So we'll go ahead and remove this guy. Once you've got your screw all the way out, you can reach in there with your 2 fingers and just pull that screw out, and that will set our screw and thing off to the side there. And we have another fastener sitting right down in here. It's going to be right at the bottom of this armrest thing, or the handle here, and you'll take your big Phillips head screwdriver and stick it in there. You can find him. There we go. I finally got a hold of him. And once you've got him loosened all the way up, you'll just take a magnet and stick it in there and pull that fastener out. And our last screw is going to be sitting right in here. And what you'll do is you'll take your flathead screwdriver, stick it in here, and kind of pry this guy out. Be careful not to break the thing, because it looks like this one's already been broken in the past. Oh. And we will have another Phillips head screw sitting right there. So we'll go ahead and loosen this guy up, and then we'll be just about ready to take our door panel off. Alright guys, and here's my magnet. Like I said, I'll just reach right in there. May not be able to grab that one, but I was able to grab the bottom one there. And this guy will just come out when we're pulling this panel off. So here in just a second, I'll show you what you're going to do to go about getting this panel off. Okay guys, now the first thing you're going to want to do to get this panel off is you're going to reach up here and pull it up and off and out of your way. Like so. Now you can see it's kind of off. Now, the rest of what's holding this guy on here is going to be those plastic things that are kind of snapped in there, so you're going to pull. And there you go. That's how you're going to remove that panel. It's pretty much as easy as that, just pulling off after you got it unhooked from, because you can imagine it's just kind of setting up here, so you got to pull up and off that ridge. So there you go. Now I'll show you the next step. Okay guys, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and pull this piece off right here. This plastic piece should just pull off like so. And you'll take this wire here and stick it through that hole, and just continue to completely remove this guy right here, and I'll just stick on at the end here. And the next thing you're going to want to do is, if your regulator isn't in such a position to where you can access these 2 bolts that are holding your window on, you want to get it in that position. And if it's impossible for you to get in that position, then you'll just go ahead and start removing these mounting things and get this thing into a position where you can do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm removing these 2 bolts that are holding your window in, and we're going to lift it up. So we've got those 2 10mm bolts off. I'll set them down here, and now I'll be able to lift my window up, and we're going to get our window out of the way. You don't have to remove your window. I'm going to hold them up, and then I'm going to come over here, and give me just a second. I'm going to check and make sure you can still see exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, and there you go. I just want to make sure you're seeing what I was doing here. And so you're going to lift it up like this, and you're going to take something that you can jam down in the thing here so it'll hold your window up. That's the best way to go about doing it. And there we go. That is what I've done. Oh, well, that's what I almost did. It might be easier to go from the outside. Earlier I did it from the inside and it didn't seem to be much of a problem, but this one's a little bit tougher. So yeah, let's try that. Guys, on this side it was easier for me to come from the outside and just kind of take my fingers and pull back and shove something down there. So now we'll open it back up and we'll start working from the inside once again. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to finish removing the mounting bolts holding in our piece here, our window track, along with the window regulator motor. That's going to be your regular piece there. So we've got 3 holding this piece up. It's going to be here. And there you go, and that's the regulator. Then we also have 3 holding up the motor as well. So I'm going to remove this. And there we go. And from here, we just have to unplug this electrical connector right here, and then we'll be able to just pull this guy right out. And to do that, you'll take a flat screwdriver or something, and just kind of push on this tab, push and wiggle, and there we go. So that's how you get that connector off. And now you should be able to just kind of pull this guy, and we'll lift him up, and then pull him out like so. And that's how we'll remove that regulator and motor. And here in just a second, I'll show you what you're going to do to put your new one in. Okay guys, when it comes to putting your new one in, what you're going to do is you're going to put it in the same way it came out. So we're just going to kind of stick it up in there like so. And there we go. Then we're going to get our bolts that we just took out. And we're going to line them up here and install your new piece. So just stick it in like so. I'll go ahead and start by getting this bottom one started. And I'm sorry if you guys don't have the best view here. That one started. That one started. That one started. I'll go ahead and zip these guys down. And there we go. Now that guy's on there getting tight. And don't forget to connect your electrical connector, which mine's going to be sitting right here. And your new connector should fit in there just fine. There we go. And then we will go ahead and get these bolts started. We'll go ahead and get this bolted up. And for this, it came with our new things here. So if your new window regulator and motor come with the new bolts, make sure to remove those new bolts before you install it, because then it's just more difficult to remove the new bolts and the new regulator when it's sitting in there. So I did that before I started the camera rolling again. So now I've got all this started, and I'll just zip those back on. There we go. So now it's nice and tight. Now it's time to hook this thing back up to our switch, so we can roll the track down to a place where we can access and get those 2 bolts on, so we can hook our window up to that piece there. So you got those 2 10mm bolts you gotta hook up. So I'll do that, and then you'll see that. Okay, now just remember your key has to be in the on position. Your car doesn't have to be started, but key has to be in the on position for your switch to work. So you can go ahead and hook your switch up, and then we can see it works. So we're gonna set it down here, and our 2 bolts are right in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that piece that's holding our window up, so we can now set our window down. And there we go. So once you get those lined up, and you're probably not gonna be able to see it from where you're at here. I'll go ahead and move this camera and I'll give you a better angle. Basically what we've got is, you can see there's a plastic piece here and a plastic piece here. That has to come and slide over this metal piece, and there you can see the hole is lined up. So I'll try and pick up here and show you. You can see it's moving now, and you can see the plastic pieces sitting there. So hopefully you get the idea of how that works. Basically you just got 2 things that need to come over that metal thing, and then you'll line that hole up. So we'll go ahead and put our 2 bolts in, get those started, and then test it out and make sure the window goes up and down smoothly. Okay guys, so I started my 2 10mm bolts there in those holes I showed you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and zap them in. There we go, so those guys are good and tight. And now I'll go ahead and I've got my switch here, and you can see it's kind of broken off, but it still works nonetheless. So we're gonna go ahead and see how it rolls up. It is rolling up. It didn't used to do none of that. So, there we go. So that's an improvement. It's not pretty, but at least it'll work. So we know it's now working for this guy. He's just gonna have to push up because it's probably the window track here, the window run channel, that's messed up on this one. So that's what we had to do in order to correct that slow problem. But that's how, yeah. So at least we know it works, and now we'll go about putting the door panel back on. So yeah. First thing we gotta do though is we have to put our plastic piece on here, and that's a whole lot of fun. So we'll see that here in just a second. Alright, now, the important thing to know when putting this thing back on is, well, first of all, it just sticks back on. It's not difficult or anything. But the important thing to know is that you need to make sure you're not blocking any holes. Just a good example over here, there's a hole made in this plastic sheet, and the clip has to be able to go in that hole. Now over here, here's a good example too. We have a hole sitting right in here. So we need to make sure that when we're putting our plastic thing back on, that whatever needs to go in that hole is going to be able to go in that hole. Now the rest, and for the most of the holes, it's going to be able to go around it because you can see the holes are just outside of this plastic sheet. So to put this guy on, you're basically just going to, it's going to take you about 5 minutes or so. You're just going to really push down and get it stuck back on there. So I'll leave you guys to that, and we'll meet here in just a second, and I'll show you the rest of this you need to do. Okay guys, and when I was putting my sheet back here on here, I noticed two things. I'll let you know. There's a really small hole for this screw hole, and it's really small for this hole as well. What you're going to want to do is tear open a bigger place, so it's going to be much easier to line up your panel, because that's definitely a problem that you can run into. So tearing a big hole, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make much of a difference. Also, another thing is that this wire, you're going to want to disconnect your switch, because remember, you switch it back up to play with the window and stuff. So disconnect that switch and pull it through the hole in this plastic piece. And yeah, that's all you need to know. And then we're about to put the panel back on. And before you get the panel snapped back on as well, make sure the switch is up and out of your way. So here in just a second, I'll show you what putting the panel on is going to look like. Alright, so here we are. We've got our new panel. And now we're going to start by just kind of lining these little pegs up in the places that they need to go. And then I got one here that's out of place, and I'm just going to remove him. If you can see what I'm talking about, see, you got a peg like that. If you got it like that, you can just take them off and kind of throw them out. You don't need every peg. It's not going to kill you, trust me. So we're going to get them up here, and then we're going to work this guy up and over, like so. And then we're going to work on hitting it in and making sure it's in. And there we go, we're all flush. So now we're going to get our screws, we're going to screw them back in, and you're pretty much ready to go. And I did what I just told you not to do, but I lucked out there because the switch ended up being right there. Make sure before you hit everything and tap everything back in that you got this piece here pulled through for your switch. So here, we'll go ahead and just connect the switch back up, and we pretty much wrapped up today's project here. You just make sure you get that guy in, and then this guy just kind of snaps back in like that. And remember, you got those 3 screws, the one goes in there, one goes in here, and you got the one that goes in here. And then we have this piece. You're going to want to put your piece on first before you put that thing, and that can be a little tricky, so I'll show you that too. It's just going to there we go, and finally got them in there. It's a little tricky, you just got to work with it like you saw me do. And then you got your Phillips head that goes in there, and that's pretty much it. Once you get those guys in, and again, you can make sure your window works, and there you go. So that'll conclude today's project. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my new videos, which publish Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you then.